Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to find a nice, comfortable seated position where your spine, the back of your neck can sit nice and long and tall, opening up your chest, opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Let's gently close our eyes and soften our thoughts. Soften our eyes. Soften our shoulders. And soften our heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is Svadhyaya. So Svadhyaya is the fourth Niyama of Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga. And Svadhyaya is, it's fun to say, Svadhyaya is Sanskrit for self-study and self-awareness, where you're stepping into the role of observer without judgment. When we're on the mat, we need to listen to our bodies and to our breath, not listen to our ego. We need to understand our uniqueness. As we develop a greater capacity for compassion for ourselves, our uniqueness, we can take that off the mat and have a greater capacity for compassion and for the uniqueness of others. Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So this morning's pranayama, the breathing technique, is the one, it's the most basic one. And it's one of those breaths that you learn right at the beginning of yoga, and it starts that journey of self-awareness. Because what you want to do is take your natural breath and deepen it. So Durga means complete breath. It means that we're starting from our stomach and taking that inhale up to our ribs and taking that inhale up to our chest. So a technique to use, a mudra, to kind of tune into, again, it's that self-observation, self-awareness thing. You can use, keep your hands open, and that's your natural breath. So you kind of let's just take a moment and focus on our natural breath. See if you can determine where its origin is, if it's in your chest, if it's in your ribs, if it's in your stomach. Just kind of breathe naturally. Of course, I'm going to put that suggestion in your head and you can't now. Okay, so then we're going to take our index finger and our thumb and put it together and just see if that changes your breath at all. Just breathe naturally. See what sensations you feel. And then last, we're going to bring three fingers together, the thumb, index, and middle finger. And then just continue breathing and see if that changes anything or if there's sensations there. Okay, and you can release your fingers. So the idea is that your natural neutral breath is with your hands open. Then when you bring your finger, your index finger and thumb together with that mudra, will bring that breath down to your ribs. So if you could feel that deepening a little bit from your chest down to your ribs, and then adding the middle finger to that, it'll bring it down into your stomach. And that is the Deirdre, or the complete breath, bringing it all the way down to your stomach so you have that deep, deep breath going on. And it's not residing up here all the time. So, again, self awareness, self study. So, our meditation kind of follows that theme. Um, so, think of yourself as a Matryoshka doll, which is the Russian nesting dolls. Do you remember what they look like? They sit inside one another. There's like one doll, it's good size, and then you take the top off, and there's another identical doll, or maybe not quite identical doll underneath, and you keep taking the layer. So you have all these layers. And then at the very, very core of that is the Matryoshka solid doll. So think of yourself as that nesting doll, and you take yourself apart one layer at a time. And each layer is a role or a label that either society has given you or you've given yourself. So you keep taking those layers apart and discovering, who you are, what layers you are. You're a wife, you're a husband, you're a father, you're a sister, a brother. Um, and then at the center, that core, you can't take that apart. That's your true essence. That's your spirit. That's your core. And the other ones you can actually change. You can maybe skip a layer and the doll still fits together, or you can color the layers differently and or have different labels or roles on and it fits together. So for this morning's meditation, think of yourself as that Matryoshka doll, and what layers have you, and what do you think is your core, that solid last wooden doll in the middle that can't be changed at all. And we'll just take a few minutes of that, and I'll meet you on the mat. Let's begin. So, when we do yoga, um, what differentiates yoga from Simon Says is us being aware of how our body responds to this pose. So, the goal of at least the way I see the goal of yoga, at least the asana part of it, is to maintain and help maintain our mobility. So that's usually done through poses that have flexibility, have strength, and balance as their components. But these poses, I mean, there are alignments for each pose, but you have to listen to your body, you have to listen to your breath, and not try to be the Simon Says, because this is to benefit you. And each of us are different. Each of us are unique. So there's poses that are difficult for men versus women. There's poses that are difficult for women versus women. You have to find your own path with yoga. Again, the goal is, at least the asana part, is for mobility. And that comes through these poses, and there are certain alignments to the poses, but you do you. So that's where we're going to start today. So fingertips on the mat, and then we'll do our sun breaths and chest openers to start, as we usually do. So inhale, bringing our hands up, and exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, bringing your fingers down. So that book, Breath by James Nestor, suggests 5.5 seconds on the inhales and the exhales. Inhale up. So that's why we go slowly. Because 5.5 seconds is actually quite a bit. So opening on the inhale and exhale. Inhale up. And exhale down. So there's another thing in James Nestor's book, and we've talked about it before too, how your nose is for breathing, your mouth is for eating. So inhale up. So you mostly want to breathe through your nose, exhaling through your mouth if you'd like, but the inhale should always kind of be through the nose. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. And I had to kind of laugh this week. Inhale up. One of the World Cup players from Norway, he was showing, he's actually the big goal scorer, and exhale down. He was showing some of his routine, and one is that he sleeps with his mouth taped shut. And James Nestor suggests that if you are breathing, you can't stop breathing through your mouth. That's a suggestion of his, is to tape your mouth shut at night so you're breathing through your nose. And there was a photo of him doing that, this Norwegian high score goal, or high, anyway, he scores a lot of goals. And then back. Inhale up. And last one down, exhale. So it's funny how some of this stuff, it's all interconnected, and It's all for the good of us. So I'm going to extend my feet out straight, come into staff pose, toes flexed up to the sky. And if you like, you can just kind of push down with your fist to really situate yourself nice and square on the mat. So you're creating a nice straight L shape. We'll do a sage pose. So we're going to bring the right foot over, set it down beside the left knee, wrap the right arm around the right knee, bringing the left fingertips behind the hips and twisting to the right, to the left, to the left. And then we'll come back to staff pose, flexing our toes up again. Nice straight line with our back, L shape with our body. And then we'll bring our left foot, setting it down along the outside of our right knee. Wrapping our left arm around our left leg, bringing the right fingertips behind us and twisting to the right. And as they say, you know, summer poses or poses good during the pitta, the summer season, is twists. So we'll do that. And the idea, you know, again, the intention of each pose, you can do it your way. So that was a twist. But if it was more accessible to you to have your foot down and turn not quite as much, that's still a twist. So any part of the pose is doing the pose. So let us roll down. And you can choose your method, knees bent, knees straight. You can do the express method. I'm going to do knees bent, rolling down ever so slowly, really engaging my core, and then feeling each vertebra as it hits the mat. And bringing the knees to the chest, give the knees a nice hug to the chest. And I love starting off my yoga. This is actually before class, I start off doing this pose, just kind of wake up my spine. Alrighty, and then we're gonna wrap our fingers around the left knee, extending the right leg all the way down to the bottom of the mat. And we're going to make circles with both feet. So you can go clockwise with the circles. Make nice deep circles with both feet. And then we're going to bring that right leg back, give it a nice hug again, knees to chest. And then we're going to wrap the hands around the right knee, extending the left leg down to the end of the mat. And I'm hovering above the mat, but you can lower it down to your heel down to the mat if that's better for you. And then we're going to do circles again, but let's go counterclockwise with these. Nice big circles with your feet. And wake up your ankles and your toes. And then bring that left knee back. Again, give one big hug, knees to chest. And then send both feet down to the mat and then send it down to the end of the mat. So you're in reclined mountain pose. And we're going to go into pure pigeon pose, reclined pigeon pose. And there's various stops that you can do if it's comfortable for you. So you slide the sole of the right foot up the inner part of the left leg till it reaches the knee, and your right knee is sent out to the side. Now, this pose is a hip opener, so you are actually doing a hip opening right now. So it doesn't have to be any, the full on recline pigeon pose to have that hip opener benefit. So cross that right ankle over the left leg, just above the left knee, and then slide the left foot so that it's down on the mat. Again, you are doing a hip opener. Maybe you just want to guide your right knee a little bit more to the right. Make sure that you are doing that hip opening. And then the full version of that pose is lifting your left leg up, pointing your toes, flexing your toes up to the sky. And you can interlace your fingers behind the thigh and guide that thigh toward your chest. That's the full expression of reclined pigeon. But as you saw from the first stage, that still is a hip opener. All right. So then we'll we're going to keep our right foot on our left leg, sending our left leg down to the mat. And then we'll guide the right knee over to the left side, a twist. Alrighty, and then release that right leg, sending it all the way down to the mat, or at the end of the mat, and coming into reclining mountain. And we'll do that on the other side. So sliding the left sole of your foot up your inner part of your right leg to the point it reaches the knee, and you're creating that hip opening, that figure four. And then placing the left ankle on the right leg, just above the knee, and sliding the right foot so that it is in contact with the mat. And then lifting that right leg up, interlacing your fingers behind the thigh and slowly guiding that right leg toward your chest. And this is where your self-awareness of your breath comes in. You can feel that tension in your left leg and send those nourishing breaths to that tension. And if a couple of breaths doesn't ease it up, just kind of ease your grip on that pose. You want your breath to be nice and even. Oh, I forgot to set the clock. Okay, we'll release that, and we're going to roll up to tabletop. So you can either turn to the side and come up to tabletop, or rock and roll yourself up to tabletop. It's always good for your core muscle to do that rock and roll one. Alrighty, and in tabletop, our wrists are right below our shoulders. Fingers are spread out wide. Index finger pointing up to the top of the mat. Knees are right below the hips. Navel's tucked to the spine. We'll do a few head turns. So just taking our nose and taking it over to the right side, and then back to center, over to the left side, and back to center, to the right again, back to center, back to the left, back to center, one last time to the right, back to center, and one last time to the left, back to center, And then go right into cat-cow. So we're going to round our back on the exhale. And then inhale, lifting our head and tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead. And keeping that pressure in our hands on the mat so that our arms are nice and I don't want to say locked in, but they're just nice and tall and strong. And then exhale again, rounding the back. Tail and head go down. Inhale, lift up. Tail and the head, send the gaze straight ahead. And then back down again. And back up. And just kind of keep going nice and slow, synchronizing it with your breath, keeping that pressure in your hands. And we'll do a couple more and then come back to a neutral spine. And come back. And then we're going to do a variation of the bird dog. So we bring our knees together so that they're gently touching. You send the right leg down, so you're pointing your toes toward the end of the mat. And then lift that right leg up to hip height. Flex the toes down, point the toes, and then drop the foot down. So lift, flex, point, and drop. 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 And you can bring that knee back so it's touching the other one. And kind of check your alignment with your arms. Make sure you have that pressure down in your palms of your hands, creating that nice straight arm. And then we'll send the left foot down, pointing the toes, and then lift, flex, point, drop, lift, flex, point, drop, lift, flex, point, drop, lift, flex, point, drop. One last time, lift, flex, point, and drop. Alrighty, then we'll walk our hands back, tucking our toes underneath. Walk our hands back and come into a squat. And then pushing down into the balls of our feet, come up to mountain pose. And placing our big toes so they're in line with the straight edge of your mat. We'll lift the toes up off the mat, spreading as far apart as you can, and then dropping them back down the mat, lifting the heels up off the mat, and then back down and really feeling that connection, that grounding connection to the earth. And then also the essentials of good posture. Our legs are nice and straight and strong with a gentle flex in the knees. Navel's tucked to the spine. Back of your spine and neck nice and tall. Shoulders are relaxed. Roll back. Crown of your head's reaching up to the sky. Your chin's tucked back ever so slightly. And we'll sweep our hands up overhead. The big inhale. And then exhale, bringing the hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go to support our lower back. And then bringing the hands to our shins. Flattening out that back, half forward fold, nice straight back. Gaze is straight down. And then dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat, and just let our hands dangle here for a minute. Let gravity take over. And we take a few deep breaths. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. As they come up and overhead, we're going to come up onto our tippy toes. The palms come together. And then we're going to lower our hands down on the exhale and lower our heels down slowly to the mat. And then sweeping our hands up again, coming up onto our tippy toes ever so slowly, kind of coming up with our hand movement till we're on the tippy tops of our toes. And then down, not ballerina toes though. Lowering your heels slowly back down to the mat. And then one more time, sweeping our hands all the way up. Coming up, up and up, stretching up to the sky. And then slowly coming back down. Slowly coming back down with our heels and our hands. Our hands will keep going down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. The hands come to our shins, nice flat back again. And then dropping the crown of our head all the way down. And then sweeping our hands all the way up. We're going to bring our hands together. And then interlace the fingers, keeping the index finger pointing up to the sky. Arms are alongside of your ears. And then we'll just kind of tip our torso over to the right. And then back up again. And then over to the left. And back up again. One more time to the right. Back up again. And one more time to the left. And back up again. And then sending our hands all the way back down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. Inhale, bringing our hands up to our shins. Nice flat back. And there's a nice quote about, I'm not sure who said it, but it's like, it's not about touching your toes, but learning about what you learn on the way down. There we go. It's not about touching your toes, but what you learn on the way down. So that's the difference between Simon Says and yoga. Great. Then dropping the crown of our head back down, sweeping our hands all the way up, coming up overhead, palms come together, palms come to heart center. And we're just going to turn to the side. We're going to lift our leg up and just set it behind us. Doesn't have to go far. Just setting the toe down and lifting our hand up at the same time. And then bringing our hands down and our foot back in place. Do that the other side. Lifting the arms up, sending the left toes back. Creating a little bit of an arch in our back. And we'll just do this for a few moments. Toe goes back, arms go up. And then back down. Arms go up, toes go back. down. Last time on the right side. And then the last time on the left side. Okay, and then we'll bring our hands all the way down to the mat again, bending our knees as we go. Hands come to the shins. Nice flat back. Gaze is straight down. And the crown, dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And palms come to the back of the hips. Fingertips pointing down. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked to the chest. And then just slowly roll your shoulders back, coming into a supported back bend. And focusing again on your breath. Trying to hear that nice, even, smooth flow of inhale and exhale. And then coming back up to mountain pose. Again, that supported back bend, that's one of those good ones is, you listen to you, you do you. Let your ego stay out of that in terms of how far back you're able to bend. I was working with a woman who, I guess she was part contortionist because she was just like able to go way back. Like, do that. But anyway, that's her, and this is me. So, all right, so starting in our mountain pose, we're going to sweep our hands up overhead and then bringing them down to the mat. Going to send the right foot back, coming into runner's lunge. And just, feel that alignment of each pose as we get into it. So the knee over the ankle, you can feel the right leg engaged. The heels on the right foot's pushing down to the bottom of the mat. And then dropping the right knee to the mat, the top of the right foot to the mat. And then having your knee over your ankle, sweep your hands up to the sky and really pushing down into that left foot. Give you strength to get up here. And then bringing those hands back down. We tuck our back toe under, come back to runner's lunge, and pivot that back foot down so it's at a 45-degree angle. And then again, sweep our hands up, coming into warrior one. Warrior one, you can have your chest facing the right corner of your mat. Or if you like, you can try to twist so that your chest is facing the top of the mat. And then we'll bring our hands down behind us, interlacing the fingers. And then pivoting at the waist, we're going to just kind of hang over our left leg. And then release the hands, bringing them back down on the mat. Back to runner's lunge. Send the left foot back to meet the right foot, coming into plank pose. Plank pose, again, your wrists are right below your shoulders. Heels are pushing back. Navel's tucked to the spine, so you're not having a saggy belly. You're up, right. And then we're going to do knees, chest, chin in this version. So knees down, chest comes down, and chin comes down. And then we'll come into cobra. So gently raising your chin and chest up. Coming into Cobra with your elbows tucked to your ribs. And then pushing down and coming into Child's Pose. And this is something you can make your own too. You can have your knees extended to the sides of the mat or kind of underneath you. And then we'll come back up to tabletop, tuck our toes under, lift the hips up to the sky, coming into downward dog. We'll pedal out here for a moment. Fingers are spread wide apart, index finger pointing to the top of the mat. And this is an inversion where your head is below your heart, rather. And then we're going to lift the left leg up to the sky and then bring it back down on the mat, pedal out. And lift the left leg again up to the sky, bring it back down, pedal out. And then lift it one last time up to the sky. And as you bring it down, bend the knee, because we're going to send that left foot forward to come into runner's lunge. So keeping the knee bent, bringing the foot up, coming into runner's lunge. We're going to pivot that back foot down again and sweep our arms up into Warrior Two. The Warrior One was about flexibility. Warrior Two is about strength. Each of these add to mobility. So right or left knee is over the left ankle. Arms are out at shoulder height. Chest is facing the long edge of the mat. And then we turn our gaze to our left fingertips. And slowly lower the back arm as we raise the front arm up to the sky for reverse warrior. And then the left arm comes down to the left thigh. And we'll swing the right arm up for extended side angle. And then the right hand comes back down to the mat. Back to runner's lunge. We'll bring the left foot back to join the right foot, coming into plank. And this time you can either do the knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked to the side, lowering yourself down to the mat, and then bringing your arms alongside of you. We'll lift the right leg up and then lower it. Lift the left leg up and lower it. And then lift both legs and both arms up and lower them back down. Bringing your hands right below your shoulders, elbows tucked to your side. We'll come into Cobra again, lifting the chin and chest up. And then pushing up so that you can come into Child's Pose, lowering your hips down to your ankles, keeping your arms extended out if you like. And then coming back up to tabletop, tucking your toes under, and coming back to downward dog. We'll pedal out here for a moment. And then we'll lift the left leg up. And when we bring it down, we're going to bend it and bring it forward again into runner's lunge. And then once we're in runner's lunge, we're going to push down to into the front foot and lift the back foot off, bring it right next to the left foot, coming into forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And the trifecta of mobility is balance. So we're going to go into warrior three. So I'm going to keep my left foot planted. Nice gentle bend in my left knee. We'll lift the right leg up. And then just pivot at the waist, sending the right leg back and sending the arms. You can do that in airplane mode if you like. Fixing on a spot. And then you can release. Alrighty, we'll do that on the other side. So, come on, catch your breath. And then sweeping our hands up overhead, bringing the hands back down to the mat. We're going to send the left foot back, coming into runner's lunge. And then dropping the left knee down to the mat, top of the left foot down to the mat. Right knee's over the right ankle. We'll sweep our hands up to the sky, pushing down on the right foot. And then bringing both hands back down to the mat, tucking the back toes under. We're going to pivot that back foot so that it's on the mat, 45-degree angle. And then again, sweep the hands up, coming into warrior one. Flexibility. And then bringing our hands behind our hips, interlacing the fingers. We'll just pivot at the waist, sending our torso over our right leg, sending our hands back. And then releasing the hands, bringing them back down. We're going to bring that right foot back to join the left foot, coming into plank pose. And then lowering the knees, chest, chin, coming down to the mat. And then raising the chest, or the chin and the chest up, coming into cobra. And then push to come into child's pose. Then come back to tabletop. We'll tuck the toes under, come into downward dog. And pedal out here for a moment. And then we're going to lift the right foot up to the sky and bring it back down and pedal out. And lift the right foot up again and then back down and pedal out. And one last time, lifting the right leg up to the sky, bringing it down, bending the knee so that we're going to send that right foot forward into runner's lunge. And then pivoting the back foot down, we'll sweep our hands up and come into warrior two. Keeping our gaze on our right fingertips. We'll lower the back arm down, raising the front arm up to the sky. And then lowering the right one so that the forearm comes down to the right thigh, sweeping the left hand up to the sky, sending our gaze up to that. And then lowering the left hand down, pivoting back to runner's lunge, and then sending the right foot back to come into plank. And either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, coming down to the mat. And then sending our arms alongside of us, chin balanced on the mat. I'm going to lift the right leg up and send it down. Lift the left leg up and send it down. And then lift both hands and legs up, soaring through the sky, and then come back down. We'll bring the hands right below the shoulders, elbows tucked to the side, lifting the chin and chest up, coming into cobra. And then pushing up and down to child's pose. And then coming back to tabletop, tucking our toes under, lifting the hips up to the sky, into downward dog. We pedal out here for a moment. And then we'll sweep the right foot up to the sky. And then coming down, we're going to bend the knee and send it forward to runner's lunge. And once we've got ourselves comfortable in runner's lunge, we're going to push down in the front foot, lifting the back foot, bringing it together and coming into forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And we'll do warrior 3 with our right foot planted on the mat. So we'll lift the left leg up. Pivot up the waist. Oops. Pivot up the waist, sending the left leg back. Bringing in your airplane arms. Finding that drishti. And then release. We'll bring the pinky toes to the edges of the mat. Heels tucked in. And then we'll bring our hands together in Anjali Mudra and lower our hips down to the mat. Sending our elbows to the inner part of each leg. Wide-legged squat. Another hip opener. And then we'll bring our sit bones down to the mat. And we'll roll down. Again, your choice on how you want to roll down. I'm going to tuck my hands underneath my knees and give the express. And then interlace my hands around my knees and give my knees a big hug to the chest and rock back and forth. You can even make big circles with your toes one way and then the other. And massage your lower back. And then we're going to set our feet on the mat, about hip width apart, maybe just a skosh more. Bring our arms along the side, palms down, and then the arms will be out at an angle. And we're going to do some windshield wipers, so you can adjust as you go. So I'm going to drop the left or the legs to the right, keeping the shoulder blades intact with the mat. Arms are supporting you, palms are supporting you as twist. And then bring the knees back to top to center, and then drop them over to the other side. And again, with windshield wipers, we'll just kind of gently flow from side to side, and keeping your shoulders intact with the mat as you shift from side to side. You can really feel that in the top of your thighs and quads there. We'll just do a few more of these. Feel like you've got the kinks out of your back. And then bring the knees back to center and send your feet down to the bottom of the mat, down to each corner. Let them flop open. And then take your arms and flip them so the palms are facing up. And your shoulders are nice and snug in the mat. This way you can take a few inhales through your nose and exhales through your mouth, and just let your body completely relax into the mat. You feel the nourishment of today's poses settle into your body. And today's poem I have for you is Dana Faulds, and it's titled Self-Observation Without Judgment. Release the harsh and pointed inner voice. It's just a throwback to the past and holds no truth about this moment. Let go of self-judgment, the old, learned ways of beating yourself up for each imagined inadequacy. Allow the dialogue within the mind to grow friendlier and quiet. Shift out of inner criticism, and life suddenly looks very different. I can say this only because I make the choice 100 times a day to release the voice that refuses to acknowledge the real me. What's needed here isn't more prodding toward perfection, but intimacy, seeing clearly, and embracing what I see. Love, not judgment, sows the seeds of tranquility and change.